Populism, a political force that has been sweeping across countries worldwide in recent years. From the United States to Brazil, from Europe to Asia, populist leaders and movements have emerged, challenging the political establishment and reshaping the global political landscape. But is populism a fleeting trend, or is it a lasting shift in how politics is practiced? Today, we'll explore the rise of populism, its causes, and its impact on traditional politics. Before diving into the impact of populism, let's first define what we mean by populism. According to political scientists, populism is a political approach that seeks to represent the interests of ordinary people against the elites or establishment. It often focuses on issues such as economic inequality, national sovereignty, and cultural identity. Populist leaders often frame themselves as champions of the common people, positioning the elites, whether political, economic, or cultural, as out of touch with the struggles of ordinary citizens. But what's fueling the rise of populism in the modern era? To understand this, we need to look at both long-standing factors and recent developments. Populism is not a new phenomenon. In fact, it has deep roots in political history. One of the earliest examples of populism can be traced back to the late 19th century, with movements such as the American Populist Party and the Russian Narodniks. However, the contemporary wave of populism, especially since the 2000s, has been notably different, with new characteristics emerging. According to the European University Institute, modern populism often goes hand in hand with anti-globalization sentiments, rejecting the elite-controlled international order and advocating for more nationalist policies. This rise of populism across the globe can largely be attributed to several factors, from economic inequality to rapid technological change and a backlash against cultural integration. In fact, a study from Pew Research found that populist parties have gained significant ground in Europe, with countries like Hungary, Poland, and Italy witnessing populist leaders strengthening their political power. Let's take a look at some of the most prominent populist figures in recent years to better understand this phenomenon. 1. Donald Trump, USA. In the United States, former President Donald Trump's rise to power marked a significant moment for populism. His campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," resonated deeply with working-class Americans who felt alienated by globalization and the political establishment. His rhetoric, often divisive, painted the elites as out of touch with the average American, a theme that is central to populism. According to The Guardian, Trump's populist style allowed him to tap into deep-seated dissatisfaction among voters, particularly in rural and industrial areas. His promise to drain the swamp of Washington, D.C. elites was central to his appeal. The Guardian, 2016. 2. Jair Bolsonaro, Brazil. In Brazil, President Jair Bolsonaro's rise to power was also driven by populist sentiments. Much like Trump, Bolsonaro's rhetoric targeted the establishment and painted himself as a man of the people. His hard-right stance on issues like crime, immigration, and the economy earned him the support of disillusioned Brazilians. According to an article from BBC News, Bolsonaro's ability to channel frustration over corruption and economic stagnation played a critical role in his election. BBC, 2018. 3. Marine Le Pen, France. In France, Marine Le Pen's National Rally, formerly the National Front, has been a major populist force, advocating for nationalism, stricter immigration policies, and Euroscepticism. Her rhetoric about French identity and the dangers of globalization struck a chord with many who feared the loss of national sovereignty. So what's driving this surge in populism? Several interconnected factors have played a role in its rise. First, economic inequality. The gap between the rich and the poor has been widening, particularly after the 2008 financial crisis. According to the International Monetary Fund, economic inequality has been rising globally, leading to frustration among working-class citizens who feel left behind by the elites. This discontent is often channeled by populist leaders who promise to address these economic disparities by taking power away from the elites and redistributing wealth. Second, globalization and its discontents. Globalization has brought immense benefits in terms of economic growth, but It has also led to job losses in certain industries, particularly in manufacturing. According to the World Economic Forum, the rapid pace of globalization has led many people to feel economically insecure, particularly in regions that have seen their industries shrink due to outsourcing or technological advancements. Populist leaders capitalize on this discontent by framing globalization as a threat to national identity and jobs. Third, immigration and cultural change. As migration increases due to conflict, climate change, and economic opportunity, populist movements often frame immigration as a threat to national culture and identity. According to The Economist, populist leaders have exploited fears about immigration, often using it as a rallying cry to boost support among voters worried about cultural change. Populism is reshaping traditional politics in several key ways. First, the erosion of political norms. Populist leaders often challenge established political norms and institutions. In the case of Trump, his frequent attacks on the media and judiciary became a key aspect of his presidency. Similarly, Bolsonaro's disregard for environmental protections and democratic institutions has alarmed many political observers. Second, polarization and divisiveness. Populism tends to deepen political divides. Leaders often use us versus them rhetoric to create a sense of crisis and urgency. This, as the New York Times points out, can lead to a more polarized electorate, making it harder for governments to function effectively. Finally, threats to liberal democracy. While populism can be seen as a response to dissatisfaction with traditional politics, it also raises concerns about the future of liberal democracy. According to Freedom House, some populist leaders have undermined democratic norms by eroding press freedoms, curtailing civil liberties, and undermining the independence of the judiciary. So, is populism a passing trend, or is it a lasting shift in global politics? The answer might lie somewhere in between. On the one hand, populist leaders are increasingly embedded in the political systems of many countries. According to The Economist, populist parties have seen substantial gains across Europe. And even in countries like India, populism has become a major force in politics. However, populism faces significant challenges. Economic recovery, the mitigation of inequality, and addressing concerns about cultural integration could reduce the appeal of populist movements. Moreover, populism tends to thrive on moments of crisis, and it's unclear how populist leaders will adapt once the immediate crises they address, such as the pandemic or economic recession, subside. In conclusion, populism is not simply a passing trend, but a response to deep-rooted issues in modern politics. Its rise has reshaped the political landscape, forcing traditional parties to adapt. While the future of populism remains uncertain, its influence is undeniable, and it's clear that we must understand its causes and consequences as we move forward. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on global politics.